What up? You got Mr. Smith, point 5 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and in this video I want to talk to you about how to know which credit cards to apply for. You see, a lot of times people wonder, which credit card should I apply for? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I just want to simplify things and let you know which ones, or where to find which ones you should consider applying for and why. Because there's power in understanding which type to apply for. There are a lot of different ones out there, a lot of them throwing themselves at you, and some have benefits. Even if some have some things that are not so good, it may be some pros to the way they do things that can still help you. But I want to give you something that I feel can be the most helpful in terms of determining which is the best credit cards for you to personally apply to. Stick around to the end because I'm going to tell you where to find it, and I don't get any compensation from it. I just want to let you know, hey, consider looking at these first and foremost. Now, before I talk about which credit cards to apply for, main thing I want to hit on is secured versus unsecured credit cards. Reason being, a lot of times people ask, should they do a secured credit card? Should they do an unsecured? And we've recommended both. Now, I will say this off the rip. Unsecured credit cards carry more weight than a secured credit card. Why? Secured credit cards are usually for beginners, people who are either have damaged their credit and they're trying to get back in the game to showing some positive payment history, showing that they know how to properly utilize their credit. So it's usually just a brand newbie or just somebody who's getting started or rebuilding their credit. However, sometimes you can skip that secured credit card phase and go straight to an unsecured, but you want to make sure you cross out some of the other things that they're looking at. And I won't go in depth on this video, but you want to make sure that you're at least heading in the right direction to where you're more likely to get approved for an unsecured card. But the preference, the coup de grace, is an unsecured because it's not contingent upon you putting a certain amount of money down. They approve you for a line of credit, and now it's up to you to be responsible with that credit. And if you don't already know, as it relates to credit cards in general, you want to keep a low utilization. By low, we mean pay it off every month in full, or even if you pay it out weekly or bi-weekly in full. Low utilization, preferably less than 10%, in the single digits. But just so you're not thinking about, okay, am I overutilizing? Just pay it off at the end of the month. And sometimes it helps to carry some form of a balance, but commit to less than 10% or paying it off in full, and you can't go wrong. So that being said, make sure you understand how to use that credit in a way that best benefits you, because you're just using it as a strategy, using it as a tool, not using it to bury yourself. As how we know we've done credit card debt and buried ourselves in it from a standpoint of just using it, expecting to pay it off, but then things happen, added up, yada yada. If you can avoid that, do so. Now, I will say this, as it relates to the secured cards, because we have recommended some secured cards as well, you do want to make sure you're operating from the same mentality. You want to operate from that same viewpoint, keeping that utilization low. However, you do want to have an unsecured card option on your radar. The thing that I'm going to give you at the end is basically what you want to have on your radar so you can graduate to an unsecured card if you haven't already. Now, not all the time do we recommend closing a card, but sometimes it may be okay to close a secured card, especially if they have annual fees, things of that nature that aren't worthy of being paid if you have something better. Now, we'll reset you a little bit, but once you're in the unsecured card, you can erase the secured card payments or the things that come from it. Basically, you can bounce back if it sets you back in any way. So just keep that in mind. Now, as it relates to the unsecured cards, like I stated, those are the ones that hold more weight. And what you want to be looking at, I prefer to look at 0% interest rate. And then I also look at the overall interest rate that it may convert to once the 0% interest rate pans out. So it may be a 0% interest rate for 12 months, 18 months, 21 months. But if it ends and the interest rate kicks up to 20% or 18%, that's something to make note of. Don't run from it, because if you're doing what we're suggesting by keeping that utilization under 10% or paying it off in full, that interest rate, truth be told, doesn't matter. What's a 20% interest rate to a zero balance? Zero. So it doesn't really matter if you're keeping that utilization low. But the 0% interest rate helps, because what that does is position you to just get on a float of making on-time payments and not even having to worry about interest if you do carry some form of a balance. keep that in mind. And sometimes those 0% interest rate can be great for balance transfers as well. So I prefer those for those reasons. I don't necessarily like an annual fee. If we can avoid an annual fee, by all means do so. And if it's something that has some type of points, that could be beneficial as well. But definitely look for the 0% interest rate without some type of annual fee, and you should be heading in the right direction. And that helps you in terms of minimizing the risk involved with getting into a credit card, especially if you're new to getting into a credit card. Now, where do I recommend finding cards that can help you? And like I said, I'm not being compensated for this, so make sure you like this video, subscribe if you have not already, due to the fact that we're just giving out free game that we feel can benefit you, because it has benefited us and people that we've shared this information with. So what site would that be? I want you to visit bankrate.com. Bankrate.com is a site that pretty much has curated certain cards that they feel are some of the best cards out there, and you'll see, depending on your status, you may qualify for certain ones in particular that help you build, or that accept people who have a lower credit range. But you'll also see a lot of different variations: the 0% interest, the ones that do have an annual cost, and it may have some other perks that go along with it that in your mind may be worth it, because sometimes the points that come along with it can wipe out the annual fee. Sometimes the bonus that comes along with it, because for example, it might be a sign-on bonus to where if you spend $1,000, they'll give you $200 in cash just for spending $1,000. Now, of course, you paid $1,000 off and you got a free $200. So you just look at it and see which one best fits you. But go to bankrate.com, spelled exactly how it sounds, just in case I don't link it down below. bankrate.com, and look at the list, and they update it on a regular basis, usually annually at least, to make sure that they have the most relevant cards that they feel are the best for you. That's all I got for this video. Hope that helps. Like, subscribe, share this with somebody you feel may benefit. See you on the next video. Salute.